It's episode 258 of Ask MandR Productions, a series where I answer your questions. If you have a question I want to answer in next week's episode, leave it down in the comments section below, and we'll get right into it with our first question from Brown Squid, who says, the new sets for Indiana Jones just got leaked. What do you think about them? I'm pretty hyped about them. Now, there's 3 sets that got leaked fully, and there's 1 set that was leaked partially and might be canceled. I think we talked about it last week. I've kind of lost track about what I've talked about lately, just so busy with the move and everything. But the Temple of Doom set apparently is like canceled. That's the rumor. Obviously, you never know. But yeah, if that's the case, that is unfortunate. That looked like a very promising set that a lot of people were excited for, myself included. I had the old one ready to go to compare it. I don't know where it is. Oh, it's back there. Like ready to go to compare it. And yeah, it looks like it's just not going to be releasing, which is really, really sad. The fighter plane chase looks like a really fun set for $40. The fighter plane, of course, being like World War II era, is really interesting for LEGO because typically that's not something they would touch. But when it comes to a movie, they kind of break their rules for something like this. And then we have what looks like a banger with the Escape from the Lost Tomb with 600 pieces. I want to say this one's going to be 40 or 50 bucks too, maybe 45, but it looks pretty big for the price. And I did really enjoy this scene in particular from the first movie, and I think this is a really good remake of one of the original Indiana Jones sets here. It's just really faithful, and it does, again, include the C-3PO and R2-D2 sticker. I believe there's also a reference in here to something like Space Please. There's definitely a Bionicle reference included in one of the stickers on this set, so yeah, that's a fun one that a lot of people will be able to enjoy. And then we have the biggest set, $150 for the Temple of the Golden Idol. This is just like a LEGO Star Wars diorama set, except probably better than any of them, with 3 distinct areas to this set, all with different little functions and features. We have the boulder chase scene, we have the little jump scene where they have to like jump across the opening, and then we actually have the Golden Idol room, the little temple room, whatever, with like the face on the rock. And this is beautiful, beautiful craftsmanship for a LEGO build here. One of my favorites for LEGO Indiana Jones ever. Obviously, these newer sets are going to be generally better than the old one, so it's not like they had a high bar from 2008, 2009 to get over. Jose says, could you provide more information about the mock competition? I couldn't seem to find anything about it. That's my bad. I forgot to link it. The link's down in the description below this week. I promise, if you're interested, get entered into the mock competition. Try to win yourself some nice prizes from JB Spielwarren. Marcus says, what set has surprised you the most in gained popularity and value over the years? I still gotta stick with the playset Death Star. My original like hypothesis, and this is like 18-year-old me thinking I'm smarter than everyone else, I guess, but I thought the 2008 Death Star would not be a good investment because everyone treated that set like the next UCS Millennium Falcon at the time, like, I don't know, 2012, 13, 14, whatever. The general consensus on YouTube and in different spaces was like, this is going to be a great investment. Everybody should be buying these because they'll be worth thousands of dollars someday, just like the UCS Millennium Falcon. Now, to be fair, they aren't quite worth thousands of dollars, but they are worth a pretty penny. They're worth north of $1,000, I think now, at least 1,000. It's in that range, right? It's more than doubled. And the same, and then they remade it, right? And the same goes for the remake. They remade it, which would have plummeted that value even more, and for quite a while it actually was not worth all that much, because when I eventually did buy the sealed one that I currently own, I didn't pay all that much for it compared to its retail price. I would have paid like $450, $500, but now they're worth like $1,000. So that's the one that, I don't know if popularity is the right word, but gained value, certainly. Nehemiah Stoner says, what's the best LEGO convention you've ever been to? I think I have a lot of nostalgia for Brickworld Chicago, like 2018. Just a great time with a lot of good people. I honestly, I feel like my Brickworld Chicago years have been more fun than my Brick Fair Virginia years. I was very fortunate to have a friend group there with some of the guys from Rebel Lug, with like Chris Productions, Lego Spencer, Elijah, Daniel, and of course Danny Lego Buff, and we would stay at Danny's house. And like, it was just like an awesome environment for a week. It was like a getaway vacation for everyone. It was so much fun. Just really good times all around. Like, I remember in 2018, Toys R Us was closing. So we drove around at Toys R Us and bought a bunch of like unpopular at the time sets that were just 30, 40% off so that they could part them out and do like a parts draft at Brickworld. And I don't know, Brickworld Chicago 2018 just sticks out in my mind as a particularly fun one. But then again, I generally have fun at all of them. You're asking which 9 out of 10 is the best 9 out of 10.
You know, it's D. Tanagley Studios' car when you got some Ninjago minifigures sitting in this little dash right there.
Crazy Dog says, do you consider yourself to be controversial in the LEGO space? If it's controversial to point out things that are obvious flaws about LEGO, then Yes. The Shadow is the only person to mention Funko Pops in this week's comments, and I really wanted to talk about this. He says, have you ever thought about buying Funko Pops? Also love your videos. So yeah, I mean, I have a couple Funko Pops up here. I've got the Joker, Borat, and Darth Maul. That's all I really want. I don't really want any more. They don't really have a lot of value to me personally. They aren't obviously something I grew up with. And like, I do have friends that collect them, but they are not generally my type of thing. Plus, I'm like so ingrained into Lego. I have so much going on doing other things and Black Series. Like, I don't need another thing. The reason I did want to talk about Funko this week is I saw something come up with Funko. They are apparently throwing away $30 million of Funko Pops, which is just insane to me. It's like the reaction online has been rather negative towards Funko. I think their stock price dropped, maybe it came back up. I don't know, I don't really keep track of that for Funko, but it definitely didn't go great for them as far as the public perception of the company. But apparently they have overproduced so many different Funko Pops that they just, it's cheaper for them to throw away their product than to sell it at discount and ship it. Like, they'd lose money either way, but they'd lose less money by just throwing it away, which is pretty insane to me. But like, when you're making just a bunch of characters that nobody cares about over and over and over again, and I go into my stores and I see like 30 of the same Funko character, like, of course you're gonna have extra product that nobody wants to buy. One of the interesting things that I saw brought up is that Funko, there's no like inherent like thing you can do with it. It is quite literally a little bobblehead, and it's like, people like to collect things. Not everything has to have some use outside of literally looking cool on a shelf. That's okay. But I wanted to connect this to Lego, and the way I kind of thought of that is generally when you buy a Lego set, even if that Lego set becomes not valuable, whatever, or it's just something you don't like anymore, the inherent value in Lego there is that you can take it apart and do something else with it. Now, obviously, it's not something that everyone's going to do, but the value of that is there. And with something like a Funko Pop, it's just not. That's impossible. Your Darth Maul, Joker, Borat are never going to be anything but, unless you like go through some painting process and do some sculpting. I don't know. It seems like a lot of extra work for a $10 Funko Pop. It just made me appreciate Lego a little bit more, looking at what Funko was doing. Ian's Miscellaneous says, can you keep the warm light? It's very comfy. I hate warm lights. I actually don't hate them, you know, as I've lived here almost 2 weeks now, week and a half. Like, all the lights in the house that I moved into are warmer lights, and all the lights in my bedrooms, previously, I had gotten cooler lights because I liked the look of the cooler lights, and it worked really well with my white table and all of that. And I do generally still want to go back to cooler lights, but I might keep some of the warm lights. I don't know, like, if I change these ones in this room, all the other ones in all the other rooms are also gonna have to change, so I kind of don't want to change them because then it creates a lot more work for me. So we'll see. Maybe I'll keep the warm light for a while, but also in the studio, I'll definitely have cool light. So maybe I will keep the warm light here and do cool light in the studio. Arctic Gaming says, I just got my first Whatnot sales. Any tips for a new seller? So pretty simple tip here. If you are going to sell on Whatnot, you really do have to advertise yourself. Unlike a site like eBay or Bricklink, it's not like your item is just put up there for the most part and it's there for sale for 7 days. When you sell an item, if you're doing an auction, it's up there for 15 seconds, 30 seconds, 60 seconds, you know, and then it's gone. Like, you have to have the people there to buy it in the moment. So you have to advertise yourself. You have to do a little bit of back-end work, be it on Instagram, TikTok, YouTube, Twitter, however you connect with the people that might be interested in buying your stuff on Whatnot. That's what you have to do. So I would just say advertising your show and what you're going to have at your show and setting it up properly and nicely and having good lighting, all the sort of things that you would want to see in a show that you would show up to, is what you need to do. Matthew says, what Lego store do you go to in Orlando? I can't find any other than the Disney Springs one, and that's because the only one in Orlando is at Disney Springs. And I'm going to be honest, I have a love-hate relationship with the Disney Springs Lego store. It's not a very free-flowing Lego store. They have an outdoor line that you have to stand in the hot sun if there's too many people in the store. But literally forever, until 2020 when the pandemic hit, like, they would just let 1 billion people in the store and it was awesome. There was never a line outside of that store. So I do kind of find it lame that they continue to have the line system, and I understand it's so that the employees aren't super overwhelmed, but also, like, the last time I went to the store, there was still a line outside and they only had like 20 people in the store. But anyway, I really hope they do open another store in the Orlando area. I would love a mall store personally, just so I don't have to deal with Disney Springs. Disney Springs in that Lego store, the actual like entrance to Disney Springs is also frustrating to me now, where you have to walk through this whole security thing, and it's just like such a big hassle to go versus if I go to a mall, I just walk into the store. So I really hope they open a mall store in Orlando. Tons of cities have multiple stores for Lego, and I think Orlando is prime for that because the Disney store is going to get traffic no matter what from the tourists, but a mall store would also get a lot of local traffic from a lot of the wealthy folk that live in Orlando. I've driven around here. I saw Ferrari a few days ago. The people have money around here, man. They could open another Lego store for sure at like the Mall Millennia. It would definitely do well. There's a lot of maybe honestly the Mall Millennia might be too fancy for a Lego store. I don't know. There's like stupid fancy stores that I would never step foot in there. Elbrick says, when's the moving vlog coming out? It's out now on MandR Vlogs, which I think just passed 100K subscribers, so thank you. I cannot believe my fun little vlogging side project has turned into a 100,000 subscriber channel. That's absolutely insane to me. When I started that channel, I started it back in like 2013, really. Hey guys, me Ryan here with the brand new extra alternative second channel majigger that, I don't know, I decided I'd make because I can't. More behind the scenes kind of stuff like this. I don't know, I'll be doing vlogs and stuff on here, you know, so that everything's not crowded into one place. So if you want to watch my good videos, well, you know, they're all good. And also on this channel, you'll be able to see what the next drop test set is. Oh yeah, the gunship. I don't think I'll be dropping it again. I said at the beginning of my vlog back in 2018 that I'm going to be trying to post here more in 2018. And boy, did I keep on that. It's one of the few things that I feel like I set out to do a thing. And all things considered, I've been very consistent with it for over 5 years now, uploading vlogs as much as I can. And like, that's been a really fun side part of my YouTube hustle or grind or whatever you want to call it, the whole thing. It's worked out dandily. I can't wait to get my second YouTube plaque and then have 2. It's going to be fantastic. JPF253 says, what would you say is the easiest, most cost-efficient way to obtain more Lego sets for a personal collection? So I'll just give you a few general tips to save money on your collection. Rakuten's been sponsoring the channel. They'll give you cash back. It'll be a % or 2 sometimes. Sometimes it can be up to 10%, just depends. And so I highly suggest using something like Rakuten, or if you're not using Rakuten, using a credit card to buy your Lego sets with rewards money so that you get cash back or rewards points or whatever, something that offsets a little bit more of the cost of your Lego set. Obviously, every penny you get off is a penny you can put towards more, and it's a more efficient way to buy. The number one rule, however, is to never pay full price, something I think Brecatech preaches. You should just never buy a set on release day because you're gonna pay more than you will if you just wait 3 to 6 or 12 months. However long you have to wait, if you're trying to save the most money, you should wait, because eventually they'll go 20% off, 30% off. Maybe if you're lucky and wait long enough, they'll go on clearance for 50+% off, or some sort of Black Friday sale where a $30 set can be $18, plus you can get cash back with your credit card and save a little bit more money. And there's a lot of ways to save money if you're savvy with it, and those are just a few tips for you that I think can help you maximize your spend there. El Comptro says, congrats on the house. Thank you, sir. He says, if you start doing any mod projects, it could be good content on DIY or assisted house projects for Lego content. I am no Tim Allen. I can't do a lot of home improvement type of stuff. I am not very handy with all of that, you know, so I don't think I intend to do all that much to the house as it stands. I do agree it would be pretty good content, maybe even better content, because I don't know jack all about any of it. But yeah, I mean, I bought a newer house. It doesn't necessarily need any work. You know, I could paint some of the walls, I guess. But yeah, I don't intend to do much. But if you see anything in a vlog and you have anything you want to point out that you think should be changed, you tell me and I'll consider it, but probably not. I just don't want to put in the work, honestly. But you also got me thinking about mock projects, because you said mod projects. And so that is going to be happening behind me here for the current time. I have got 4 tables in, and I know I now currently have them like all set around in different places. They were all in the center of the room, but I had to change it around because I have some reviews to make, and I needed some sort of makeshift review setup because my studio space still isn't ready. But hopefully in about a month, maybe 2 months, I'll hit the ground running on a building series on my channel. I'm really stoked to do some sort of weekly content for a building series. Moving on to Alex's Me, he says, since the MIDI-SCALE Super Star Destroyer is able to be pre-ordered, do you think this opens up a new door for more capital ships being made in this scale, like an Invisible Hand and a Vendor? The set being available for pre-order has no relevance to anything that you mentioned after. I'm going to be pretty straightforward, but I think MIDI-SCALE is here to stay. Whether or not that means we'll get an Invisible Hand or a Vendor in MIDI-SCALE, Who knows? I hope a Venator comes as a UCS set, but I could potentially see the Invisible Hand making a lot of sense as a MIDI scale, because the Invisible Hand, let's be honest, probably just wouldn't sell as a UCS set. I think it would fit a lot better in the MIDI scale range, but the current rumor is that the helmet collection is done. 4 waves of helmet collection, and that's it. And it's kind of sad to see if that's going to be the case. It took us 4 years to get 1 or 2 now prequel helmets, and right after they release them, they're gonna can the whole line. And I'm sure lots of you guys have lots of wishes of things you wanted to see for the helmet series, but if the word on the street rumor holds true, then that's more or less it for the helmet collection. Not to say they couldn't come back in some capacity eventually, but ultimately my guess would be that they just aren't selling enough of them for it to make sense compared to doing something else. And what is that something else they're going to do? Well, the diorama series is going to stick around as part of the 18 plus lineup for LEGO Star Wars, UCS of course, and then your third facet of your 18 plus stuff is no longer going to be helmets, it's going to be MIDI-SCALE. And patterns aren't everything with LEGO, certainly things don't always go in patterns, but I'm just going to send us back to 2021 when the Darth Vader's transformation set came out. That set was clearly a precursor to the dioramas. It wasn't in the diorama collection, but it's really, really similar to what we ended up getting with diorama sets just a year later, and now again, coming in, I guess, a month and a half from now. So I look at this MIDI-SCALE Super Star Destroyer as another precursor to a full lineup, hopefully, in 2024 for the MIDI-SCALE, and of course continuing on for years to come. And I think the MIDI-SCALE would have a lot more longevity than helmet sets. I mean, when you really get down to it, I mean, yeah, Kylo Ren would be cool, yeah, Royal Guard would be cool, but you kind of run out of very popular helmets to do rather quickly. I know they should do tons of Clone Troopers, I'm in that boat too, but you do run out of the main characters of helmet sets very quickly. I think when it comes to MIDI-SCALE ships, you can do a lot more, and there's a lot of longevity to be seen out of the MIDI-SCALE line if it is where they are going, and I really do hope it is. If helmet sets are what we have to lose to get MIDI-SCALE, I'm here for it, man. Darth Sarm says, with Clone Commando showing up more in Bad Batch Season 2, Episode 11, do you think LEGO will incorporate them into a Bad Batch Season 2 set? Maybe a battle pack? No. LEGO doesn't seem to want to make Bad Batch sets. I don't know why. I don't get it. There's a chance the Swamp Speeder could be from the Bad Batch, I guess. But, I don't understand why we didn't get anything from Bad Batch Season 1 when... I guess I worded that very poorly. We got the Justifier and we got the Bad Batch Shuttle. We did get a couple Season 1 sets. But, you had these Clone Commandos come in. I guess you had, the Phase 3 Clone Troopers or the Stormtrooper prototypes come in. Why would you not make sense with those sorts of things? Those are really cool, unique LEGO Star Wars things you could make based on a current show, but they don't touch it. It's, so sad to me. Yet we can get really random characters like we see in the TIE Bomber, which is great. It's nice to get random characters like that. But it just makes you really question why we don't also get things that are really pertinent to a current show, like Clone Commandos, that have just never been made before for no reason. Now would be the time. Maybe 2024, who knows? I hate saying that. Maybe next year, but at this point, literally, maybe next year. Malachi says, what do you think will happen with the 2 minifigs and Microfighters in the future? Do you think this is a one-off? And if so, do you think LEGO will lower the price back to normal after? No, I don't think they will lower the price. I think, and it's kind of insane that it's $16. I know I touched on this in my video and the pictures the other day. And that price is probably here to stay for Microfighters. I see no reason for them to want to lower it again. And maybe I'm wrong. Maybe it's a one-off. Maybe, I hope I'm wrong. Who doesn't, right? Everyone wants them to be $10, not $16. But that's just what I think. I think LEGO's getting a bit greedy here, and that's just reality. That's what I can see. I'm looking at a $16 price tag on a Microfighter, and I see greed. That's all I see. That's it. And I think you can draw a pretty easy comparison here to a set like the Guardians of the Galaxy set that's coming out. That's literally $10 with 2 minifigs and a build versus $16 for a minifig and a half and a build. LEGO Star Wars is ripping us off here on this set. They just are. That's what's happening. So I obviously really disagree on the price, but the concept isn't awful for this Microfighter. It's not like having the 2 characters there and the ship is really, really nice. It's just not nice for $16. And you could do this with a lot of other things. Cad Bane with BD-1. Great potential combo there for a Microfighter Justifier. Cal Kestis with BD1 is another option for one of those small characters that could make it into a Microfighter. Grief Karga and Babu Frick. I don't know, man. I'm just throwing out ideas. Anyway, if you have questions for next week's episode, leave in the comment section below. Leave a like while you're there, and I'll see you next week.